Right, welcome ladies and gents, let's talk Andor, episode 6. Yeah, this was an episode. It was a fantastic episode. So, non-spoiler review, of course we've been building to this moment. So, I guess it's non-spoilers to talk about that very briefly. We've been building towards a heist, obviously. The way it was executed, it's a long episode, 51 minutes or so, about an hour basically, rounded up. And the way it was executed was great. This is the payoff that I would expect and want from from a series that is a relatively steady pace, because I want to feel for the characters, because when something like this occurs in this episode, I want to feel like there's risk and something could happen to them. So I think this was a great payoff. Now, the cinematography, and we'll talk in spoilers in a minute about what actually happened, but the cinematography is just superb. This is some of the best Star Wars. This episode, to me, was like quintessential Star Wars. Now, I know, loads of people obviously go, well, Star Wars is about the Jedi, etc. I think at its basic is good versus evil. And this episode was absolutely that. Quintessential Star Wars, it was just everything I would want it to be. It was really, really good. Really, really good. The practical effects, the visual effects, so the CGI stuff, the cinematography. Like, I was genuinely blown away by this episode. Like, and you know what? There's some scenes that I'm watching and I'm just like, I'd love to watch this on a big screen. I would absolutely love to watch this, in the theatre. This would look amazing in a theatre. This would not be out of place in a theatre by any stretch of the imagination. It would absolutely work. It was so very well done. Very well acted throughout. Very, very well acted. And again, because we've built to this, I had a sense of stakes, risk, everything I could have wanted. So from a non-spoiler perspective, my review is, it was great. Like, it's what I wanted it to be. I appreciate slow burn stuff when there is individual payoffs. And this was what I wanted it to be. And you know what now? Because this is the thing, right? A lot of series are quite predictable with what's going to happen. We knew it was going to build towards this. But you've got to remember, this is like 12 to 13 episodes long. This is a long show. So we're midway through. I have no idea what's going to happen now. I have absolutely no idea. And that excites me. Because seldom do I watch a program where I have absolutely no inkling of what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen now. We know roughly from the trailer that something's going to have to happen with him being in prison, because it's in the trailer that Andor gets into prison. But how that occurs, no idea. Nah. And that is really exciting. So non-spoilers, great. Cannot wait to see what happens next. I know that Andor has a lot of detractors, but goddamn, give it a chance. The payoffs more than substantiates the slow pace. And it's not a slow pace, it's a steady pace. It takes its time, it crafts the world. Anyway, let's talk spoilers. Well, the heist happened, of course. There you go, spoiler again, but click off the video. That little kid, the little lad, not a little lad, he's obviously a full-grown adult, but he plays more sort of child-ish like individuals in shows. He starred in a really good series, End of the Fucking World, on Netflix. He's been in, I think it was Black Mirror episodes as well. He is such a good actor. I really like him as an actor, and he was great in this. He was absolutely great in this. Really, really good. And you know what? Because they did a good steady pace to build up these characters, I felt for it when he died. I felt the fact that he wanted to impart his manifesto onto other people, specifically Andor. I felt that his his death will mean something to Andor, that manifesto will mean something to Andor as a result of them building their interactions up. And the juxtaposition between this kid and Andor talking about the fact that he couldn't sleep and, do the Empire care, will they care, etc. And then over to the Empire, having that discussion at the start about the Aldani and how they've manipulated them and how they give them very few options because, they struggle to make decisions, just denigrating, a whole planet of people, basically saying, well, they struggle to make options, so we give them very few options, and before they've even made a decision, they don't even realise that we've given them literally nothing that they wanted anyway. And the fact that they drunk their coffee in unison. Just so sinister, business-like, matter-of-fact. And the guy doesn't even want to be there. He doesn't care. He just wants to get off this assignment and go home. Great. Really, really solid. So good. So good. The cinematography of the eye, all those asteroids coming over the planet, beautiful bright lights, colours, almost sort of phosphorus, sort of phosphorescent, that sort of colouring, right? The greens, the yellows, the blues, all those kind of colours beaming across the sky. That on a big screen, I would have absolutely loved it. I would have absolutely adored it. And there was one shot where the defector, who obviously the inside man, came out of the dam building, and they panned down from like a watchtower, and it just looked so good. Like I felt like they were there. It was just so expertly made. And you know what? Like it's funny because I really appreciate the fact that we've got this series, but why did we have to have such shite come before it? Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed some of those other shows, but it pales in comparison to this. This is incredible, leagues above, from a technical perspective, cinematography, shots, framing, editing, everything is leagues above. And you know what? And I've said this before in comments, in replies to comments, it's because it has British film crews. It was predominantly shot in the UK, things like that, worked with British film crews, etc. There's a reason why Hollywood comes over here. And if you look at where Obi-Wan Kenobi and all the other things were shot and where they were predominantly handled, or who they were handled by, more so, it was the Americanized stuff. Anyway, whatever. I don't want to get into a battle of, Americans better than Britain and blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit. There's a reason why this looks good. There's a reason why Hollywood keeps coming over here and using our studios and stuff, and our film crews. It was just so great. The twist, not really a twist, but the kind of twist at the end, where, the screen basically suggests to Andor, yeah, well, look, there's 80 million credits there. You take 40, I'll take 40. Let's split. And Andor mentions something about Screen's brother, and Screen's like, I don't have a brother. And that's when it clicks to Andor that this guy is just a profuse liar, a lying sack of shit, and he cannot trust him. And then the next line of dialogue from Screen seals it. 40 million credits will make me forget your name. Boom, boom, dead, gone. Doesn't even think. Full-blown survival mode, which you would do. And I just... It's not needless death. Every single death that Andor has committed has been thoroughly deserved for his own self-preservation. It was just self-preservation, basically. It has to have been done. It's that absolute limit. It's so good. Fantastic episode. Really, really well done. And as well, like, even to talk about the relationship between, I think her name's Val and Citra. Obviously, the two women, they're obviously a couple. Not in your face. This is how you do representation. It's implied. It's just, are you going to be okay? Tell me you're okay. I'm okay. Cool. And that's it. Just implied. We know that one of them's taken. Who did we think they were taken with? Obviously thought it was going to be a bloke. It wasn't a bloke. It was it was the other woman. But that's how you do representation. Not in your face. Don't snogging each other's face off. I don't want to see anyone snogging in Star Wars. I'm not interested. Straight, gay, I don't care. That's how you do it. That's great. And also, no marketing has been pushing it either. So that's good. Like, that's just how you do it. Just, there you go. Just is good. Perfect. Great. Solid episode. Very enjoyable. Cannot wait to see what happens next. I'm genuinely curious to see what happens next. And the fact that they end on Coruscant with, you know, the Senate. She's trying to... Mon Mothma is trying to talk through her bill, and everyone's just ignoring her. She's like, what the fuck's going on? So she looks at her, obviously, like newspaper, I guess, on a screen. She's like, oh, crap. Something big's happened. And then obviously go to the shop with Luthen. And he just goes to the back and just bursts into laughter because he's like, oh, holy shit, we've done it. Ah. Yes. This is how you do an episode of Star Wars. This is how you do it. And I know people disagree. My humble opinion.